like then you've essentially extracted the lifetime value of a product that you've built, right? And it spans at least 2 generations, but for sure, like minimum 2 generations of life, and then maximum like 3 or 4 generations of life of like wealth creation, which is the whole point of capitalism in the first place. So I think it's like when you look at that in that type of eyes, then you're looking at the product and going, okay, cool, like how do I actually, and then instead of like being like a thought leader who just says Apple's not going to succeed or live by 2200, even though those people are correct, there's a reason why they're not going to be there. But it's not because they haven't anchored themselves that deeply, or it's not because they're like just like a shit fucking product and company and it'll be ran to the ground. It's impossible that's going to happen, right? They are not going to succeed because there's going to be essentially a company that just understands, and they're starting now, that has an infrastructure at like ground zero where their baseline is artificial general intelligence, natural language processing, quantum computing, and that's going to be the company that ends up buying Apple out and shuttering it, right? And so if you're looking at that, then you've kind of put yourself in a situation where it's like, oh, CrowdFace is this, but if you're like, CrowdFace wants to be bought out by Apple, and then you go and build that thing, that makes more sense.
We'll see. I sat with the head of AWS Quantum last year at the Quantum conference. At the dinner table when we were eating, the catering.
How was that?
I don't know. We were on FaceTime right before it. That's why I was just, yeah. I don't. We were just talking, but I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't fantastic. It was just a moment. Just a moment. I just picked a random table sarcastically, and that's just like start talking. Like, what do you do? Like, header. We are AWS Quantum up in San Francisco. I was like, oh. It's literally.
Yeah, it's really important, man. Like, it's really, really important.
What, quantum?
I think Hamiltonian algorithms are going to be the future of how we run things. Like, if you look at like
Hamiltonian Monte Carlos. That's why I learned some of those on certain.
like if I think about like what's going to save us, I think like quantitative finance is going to save us, because there's so many things that they're doing in like now like an altered state already.
Well, they're the best at AI. It's
But that's
finance.
what I'm saying. So I would just look at like what like algorithms work the best, and like what detects noise, and like understand it. Like I would just be trying to hire and give like, and that's where it's like, this is why we need $20 million, because I need to offer 500K, or I need to offer like 200K above with the like a 300 to 500K base salary for like the quant coming out of Cambridge,
Oh,
so he doesn't join like Goldman Sachs.
I would pay above market rate to preserve equity for sure. But I would guess about 500,000 instead of like a lower salary and more equity for sure. That would be.
But that's what I'm saying. It's just like that's for me. Then it's like, okay, cool, because then what it says is what you've done is now you've found an upper boundary and a lower boundary for what you need to do, and then you can talk to an investor and go like, hey, like right now, these are like the baseline things, like this 5K thing, this 12K thing, this, and then you go, cool, like on the basic 500K investment that like Y Combinator would do at 7%, we can say, okay, you've given me $50,000 worth of that, so like 10% of that individual space, and I can give you a 10 to 20% premium off of that baseline and give you like 1% of the company, right? Or 1.4%. Yeah, like
You're saying
1% of the.
You're saying 500K for a 1.4 discount, 1.4% discount rate.
No, a discount rate would be 90%. The
No,
discount would be 10%.
I mean for future rounds.
No, I mean a discount rate in terms of like the equity that you're getting. Like if you structured the safe, for example, right? You would give them like, because now you have an investor, like say who's like, hey, I don't have 500K, but I got 50K, then you go, okay, cool. Like we with 50K we can solve this, right? So all I'm saying is now that we've
Or
like established,
I don't run
but
in.
listen, now
I
that we've
don't run into
established
nobody
like,
with 50K checks.
now that we've established,
I run
now
into
that we've
real people.
now that we've established the upper boundary, like, hey, I need 20 million to like basically start afresh and like have the most robust system for like the next gen thing that's going to be ready in by 2025 or 2050. I have the next gen Apple, or hey, I have something that can be acquired by Apple and it's at 50K. And I think that's a really beautiful way to look at it, because that's like it turns it like puts into frame for even like the most visionary people who like need numbers. You're like, okay, cool, like for us to be acquired we can start off with 50K and like make a product that would be like immediately bought out for 50 million.
Yeah, the return rate on that.
Or you could give us like 20 million or something like that, or we can get 50K from you and like 10 of your homies, raise
Well,
500K, and then start off on something that could be like in par and create a bidding war between Apple and Amazon. But then it's like, or we could create something that's like $5 million and like have a company that we
Apple
can
Auto
run
Club.
for 20.
If somebody just walked by with an Apple Auto Club hat, I think that's incredible.
It's
That,
crazy.
that's incredible manifestation. But they shuttered their autonomous vehicle program, though.
But
I thought they should have acquired. This is what I was talking about when I saw Alexander Wayne earlier this year. Actually, I was saying to someone, I thought instead of shuttering their secret autonomous vehicle company, they should have made bids at all the luxury companies, the luxury main automobile companies, and then just made bids until somebody bid. I thought they should acquire like a big manufacturer of luxury automobiles.
yeah, but the problem with that, the problem with that is that the ecosystem for Apple, from what I can glean from like the outside, is that like a luxury company that they would like, the one that makes sense to do is that they should acquire Mercedes, but they're so stupid that they would buy Rolls Royce, and then that would just fuck up their whole brand value, because the people in the executive space, they're corny, right? So like if you just assume, we always just start off with every person that we talk to in our industry is corny as fuck, then you just know that like then naturally someone would go, oh, Apple, like you say, what is Apple trying to be? And it's like a luxury company, right? Like they've sold you on spending $2,000, sometimes twice a year, right?
Yeah, literally.
Uh,
They
for
just
like
dropped.
the rest of your natural born life. And then it's like, okay, cool. But you know that once again, niggas is corny, so executives are gonna be like, we want to be able to say from pure fucking ego that we are, that we own Rolls Royce, and that because that will give us like all a free Rolls Royce, right?
Well, that's